I want to be presenting two guests today is Marie and Mehavi. Today we are actually going to do a recording because this is the semester of spring 2024, and particularly these two students has been doing the best percenters, and then voted by all the students, there were 25 votes, and 8 out of 25 actually vote that they are the best presenter. With that, can I ask your permission, Anne-Marie and Mehavi, can you do the presentation, and then I post it on my YouTube channel?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Now, before we started, and beside they actually the best presenter, I'm gonna be presenting the award to you guys. You guys are voted by the 25 students. So Mehavi, congratulations. You are actually voted as most outstanding active student, the most hardworking student on top of the best presenter.
Oh, thank you so much.
Congratulations to finish strong. And I will be sure to give you that copy of certificate to you in our class. Next, Emery, you are also voted as a most outstanding student and most hardworking. Congratulations, Emery.
Thank you.
It's so honored to have you, and both you guys are very dedicated to the class, passion and hard work, and you get this showcase that. So besides they were the best presenter, and those are the votes that they have. And the most hardworking, you guys actually get pretty even number. With that, I want to pass the stage to your presentation that you guys going to be presenting how to meet and not to meet. Go ahead, take it away.
So I'm gonna come here and share our screen. Perfect. Does it look good on your guys' end?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so let's start. Good morning, good evening to everyone who's watching. This is Anne-Marie.
And this is Mehavi.
And today we're gonna explore to meet and not to meet.
Hey, Mehavi, you want to grab some lunch after class?
Yeah, sure. I would love to.
Where would you like to go?
Somewhere there is some vegetarian options.
Ooh, isn't that going to be pricey? Following restricted diets can be very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, class, this is what we hear from people all the time about eating vegetarian food. Both of us eat plant-based meals, and we disagree with the thinking that it's more expensive than normal or non-vegetarian food. We think it's cheaper to eat plant-based foods, so we decided to test that
The claim.
by performing a hypothesis test.
So for our sampling, we decided to ask PCC students on our survey, and we did that through Canvas, text, Pronto, and GroupMe chats. We used Google Forms for our survey, and we also attempted to use custom sampling, but we ended up with convenient sample. Although this is not ideal, but this was lots of fun.
As well as the main questions about dietary choice and the amounts of money spent on food, we asked students about their living arrangements and whether they bring food on campus. This is because there are factors other than dietary choice that will influence how much a person spends on food on and around campus. So we wanted to tackle those lurking variables, such as living situation, the amount of units that they're taking, and whether they bring food on campus. We also asked some general questions like gender, academic year, to see if there are any trends or correlations.
For the expected outcome, we both were really surprised by how few students, approximately 5%, only followed a vegetarian diet. Because we both follow a lot of plant-based meal, we assumed that most students would prefer that because it's a healthier option and a more cheaper option, especially on a tight student budget. Our plan was to promote more vegetarian lifestyle as we believe it is more preferable for our environment and our wallets and our health. So this is one of the graphs we just put. Looking at the confidence interval, we constructed, this is just a sample of what we had. So we used the confidence interval of 90%, 95%, 99%. Our sample mean was 22.24. Our sample standard deviation was 9.41, where our sample size was 49. Checking the conditions first was the simple random samples of 49 students. And while we were checking the conditions, 49 is more than 30. That's why we can conclude that this sample is just has a normal distribution. Hence, we can proceed.
So we decided to test the
The
claim.
claim.
We performed a hypothesis test on 2 sample means to see if one group, vegetarians, spend more on average than the other group, non-vegetarians, on food on and around campus on PCC. So the original claim that we decided to test is vegetarians spend more on average for food on and around campus than non-vegetarians. We wanted to test that claim and show that it was not true. Let's see. Because we have inequality here, the original claim is the alternative hypothesis, HA, and the null hypothesis is that vegetarians spend an equal amount of money on food on and around campus as non-vegetarians. From our data set, we calculated the mean amounts of money spent on food by vegetarians and also by non-vegetarians and compared the 2 sample means. We did this by creating 2 lists, L1 for vegetarian amounts, L2 for non-vegetarian amounts, and entered them into our calculator. The averages were $30 a week for vegetarians and $21.91 for non-vegetarians.
Looking at the random variable here, which is X, which means the amount of money spent per week on food by PCC students. Like Anne-Marie said, we used the L1 and L2 distribution and followed through our calculator. We used the t-test here because the sample, the population standard deviation was unknown. These are some of the calculator functions that we used. And this is not pooled because the variances are not the same. The result that we got was 2.416 to the power of -7, and our t was 5.851. So looking at that,
our p-value is so small.
I know.
Is small, so we need to make our decision.
Do you remember how we make a decision about the claim?
You mean how we compare the p-value to the level of significance?
And there's a rap about it.
Really, a rap? No way.
Yes, there is. So the rap goes like, yo, yo, yo.
Yeah, you say if the
P is low, the hoe must go.
If the P is high, the hoe
must
fly.
fly.
That's Snoop Dogg. He's so smart. I didn't know he taught stats.
Man of many talents.
So back to our decision. Our P is low, our hoe must go. Our original claim was that the alternative hypothesis that vegetarians spend more on food on and around campus than non-vegetarians. So that's true?
Yes, it is. And for our conclusion, there is a statistically significant evidence to warrant the support of the claim that vegetarians do spend more on average food on and around campus than non-vegetarians.
But we found an article. Our data is not ideal as we ended up with a convenient sample. So we are happy to quote the article we found that shows that vegetarian diets cost less than non-vegetarian diets. And their study was done in 150 countries. So their data is a lot better than ours. Thus, their conclusions are more reliable.
And raw data suggests that vegetarian diets are at the same cost as non-vegetarian diets. And here, the raw data shows that with 95% confidence interval, that vegetarian diets cost more than non-vegetarian diets. So we were right.
Vegetarian diets are less expensive than non-vegetarian diets. So eat more plant-based foods. It's better.
For the planet, for our wallet, and your health. A real life application for this would be when we were looking at the start of our project, we only had a raw data. So it seemed like there was no difference or not much difference in the cost. But it just shows from all the experiences and the statistically evidence that we collected, raw data is not enough for us to conclude our hypothesis and rely on that. So we are so glad that we got to do this together.
So the statistical tests show a different story. Stats full.
That always wins. This is some of our workloads and our works cited. There's some slides that I want to go back to that we missed, and that might be very easy for the rest of the students to go through. So this is just our samples, checking of samples, our critical value. This is how you calculate it, and also our margin of error. And this is one of our conclusion for our 95% interval. That would be it. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for spending extra time for your after your finals, and we will see that hopefully within 1 to 2 weeks before the semester. With that, I'm going to pause the recording.